your finger and saying, oh, it's because of this or it's because of that. No, it's because of yous. It's because of yous. College athletics need to stop on Sundays. The kids need to rest. They need to rest, right? They need a day of downtime. That's what they need. They don't need to be flying all over the country, doing this and doing that and competing for this or competing for that. They need to catch themselves. They need to get their wind. They need to feel as though they're loved and that they're not just a number. And paying them, that's the cherry on top. They need to stop paying them, Andrew. They need to stop paying them.
That's it. And it's not going to happen. That's not even close to where we're at as a society. No one's stopping. No one's slowing down. Everything's more. Everything's more content, more. You have to be on at all times. And I remember saying this when the Big Ten brought in those teams.
Why is it? It's TV money. It's all TV.
Yeah, you know why. Yeah. So, so I said this when the Big Ten brought in those West Coast teams. I was like, well, that's great. I mean, that's cool. Like Penn State, I love watching Penn State USC in the Rose Bowl at the end on January 1st. That's awesome. But that's fine for a football team, maybe. I mean, it's still a cross-country flight. It's still ridiculous flying from Pennsylvania to Oregon, Pennsylvania to Southern California. That's a ridiculous flight for kids that have to go to Econ 101 on a Tuesday. You're not going to class anymore. But even more than that,
so they're losing their value of their education because they're
losing the value of the education. But not only that, let's forget about football. They play one game. What happens in a basketball or not basketball? What happens in baseball or any of these games or any of these sports that play series or have multiple games a week? Are you in the NBA? You do a West Coast trip. You fly from LA to San Fran to Portland to Vegas to Salt Lake City. You knock them all out and you come back home. They go out for a week. They knock out 5 games. You come back home. That's fine. They're professionals. They're being compensated for it. They have the best of everything. That's the way it is. But these kids are going to class. They're not going to class. How can they go to class? They're on the other side of the country. How can a baseball team go out, play 4 games in Los Angeles, and the kids got midterms this week? How is that possible? I understand kids are doing the classes online and everything, but it pulls out that whole fundamental concept of being part of a college, having the college experience. You're no longer a part of the student population. You are your own entity that is off flying on private jets and all of that, and you are having a completely different experience than the run-of-the-mill college athlete or college student. So it's just crazy. And like we're saying, it's never going to stop.
Which is a big loss for the college.
It's a massive loss. So what happens?
For the college.
We've said this before, but what happens in those 4 years of you being in college? You have a tremendous amount of growth and development, right? That's the NCAA commercial. It's not all of us most of us are going pro in something other than sports.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when all those kids who don't go pro now go off into the workforce and they've got, basically a participation trophy degree? That doesn't they're fine, right? They made money in school, right? Hopefully enough to put it, hopefully they were smart with it and didn't gamble it away, but hopefully they put it in the bank and put it into investment and they can kind of live off of that.
Which is a joke. You know that, man. Guys, maybe the guys that are on college campuses with the garbage that the NCAA is passing. And listen, they basically need to be disbanded. The NCAA, I'm going to tell you, we're reaching out to congressmen, senators, these shows going down to some of Trump's guys, and I don't care if they're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. Both Andrew and I are independent. It's wrong.
This is a bipartisan issue.
Yeah, man.
This is a bipartisan issue because now, to my point, what's going to happen is these kids, these highly productive student athletes that are these are the people who, when I was in school, when you were in school, they had so much on their plate. They have to go to practice. You got to go to class. You got to pass the test. You're not going to class. Now you're on your laptop doing all this stuff. So what happens when those kids go into the workforce? Not everyone gets a 10-year NFL career. So when that happens,
they got an inferior education too.
Exactly. So what happens? That hurts the society. That hurts the workforce. That hurts everything. These people who 9 times out of 10 go into the workforce and are pillars in the community because they have such great, withstanding, and they're able to push themselves physically, mentally, emotionally through all these like challenges. Now they don't have that. They don't have that same rigor that you get in your 4 years, 5 years of development when you're in college. And that's a real thing that we're going to see over the next 20 years as a society. This is a small microcosm of what's happening, around our whole country right now. But it's the truth. It really is. And we don't have to. We can say it's going to happen in 20 years because it is. But we can look at right now. It's going on right now, and it's like it feels like every single week there's a new scandal that's dropping. So we got the MLB guys. These guys they're going back to the prop bets.